There is Michael White looking a little pensive. Currently ranked at 62. Of course, he got back on the tour by getting through to the World Championship, coming through qualifying a couple of seasons ago. He's 57 on the provisional end of season list, so he should be okay in terms of retaining his tour position. It's not been the best form from him since he got back on the tour, but he is an asset to the tour for sure. He's such an entertaining player to watch. Likes to get on with it. But what a task he's got on his hands today in the shape of this man. And there's going to be some roar, I think, when O'Sullivan walks into the arena. Well, he's so famous, he got 2 introductions. The referee trying to restore calm. Good luck with that. So we're ready to go for the second evening of the World Open Snooker live here in New Shan. A place in the round of 32 up for grabs. It's Ronnie O'Sullivan against Michael White. Neil Foles alongside me for this one, and a packed house, Neil, for what promises to be a great evening of snooker all round.
I mean, the atmosphere was very good yesterday with O'Sullivan in town. It's going to be even better, pulsating atmosphere, no doubt, here this evening. And not an easy match, I don't think. I mean, yes, Michael White, his record against O'Sullivan is something he wouldn't want to be thinking about. He's never beaten him before, but at his best, you know, he's a ranking tournament winner. Very good player who's had his ups and downs. But on this sort of stage, it'd be nice to think he could play well. If he does, he can win.
Well, that's an encouraging start. Terrific long red off O'Sullivan's break-off. White, courtesy of a victory over Hayden Penny, has set up this crack at O'Sullivan, who also had to play his qualifier unusually in Barnsley back in January, coming through against Alfie Burden 5-3. But as we know, O'Sullivan always talks up his trips to China. He loves playing here. They certainly look after him. And he, in turn, loves to entertain. Of course, he's already won the Shanghai Masters this season, the big invitational, which he's monopolised down the years. He's now won it 5 times, 4 in a row. One of 5 titles that he's claimed this season, including the recent big invitational in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, he played not a very good shot on the yellow. He got into the cue too much and didn't land on the red to the right of the bunch, which is what he played. So I think the conditions did for him there, having, of course, as you pointed out, not played his match here in New Shan, his opening match in qualifiers, pre-event. The conditions have been good. The breaks have been flowing. The pockets are not tight. Although not big enough for that to go in. To be honest, he missed it by far enough. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how O'Sullivan plays here. I mean, I guess he is potentially more vulnerable in these early rounds than he might be later in the draw.
1.
Yeah, I mentioned O'Sullivan potentially vulnerable early. Of course, any player would feel that way. Before the pandemic, I remember O'Sullivan came here to New Shan with high hopes. And our good friend Dominic Dow hadn't quite read the script, knocked him out in the opening match. So it's not always plain sailing with O'Sullivan, but very often he gets the last laugh. Again, into the cue ball too much. He played twice across, but he almost screwed it rather than stunned it over. And now he's a little straight on this.
12.
The winner of this match will play Liu Hao Shan, who came from 2 down with 3 to play earlier in quite a long match with Aaron Hill, the Irish professional, to win 5-4.
He's played that well, but he's lost the cue ball a bit. He needs a bit of luck down the table. The red by the green is covered by the green, so that's not an option. Never quite got into position there.
Michael White.
He's been in twice now, Michael White, and he's only accumulated 22 points. Yeah, that match in 2019 where Dominic Dale beat Ronnie O'Sullivan and knocked him out early, but not too many players have beaten him this season, albeit Liu Hao Shan, as Philip pointed out, awaits the winner, has done so. So you don't really look at the draw and think that any player is a good thing to progress that far, because, as we've seen, that there's quite a lot of strength in depth at this stage on the tour. Mark Allen will be living proof of that, having been knocked out by Daniel Wells, who hadn't been doing much yesterday. Not a great match, but a good win for the Welshman. I think a lot of it with O'Sullivan is A, how he plays, and if he plays at his best, he's almost unbeatable. And B, if he doesn't play at his best, does his opponent believe he can beat him? And sometimes the answer to both of those is yes to O'Sullivan playing well and no to the latter.
Made the final of this event back in 2010 when he lost to Neil Robertson, who, as mentioned, is up against Tian Pengfei on table 3 this evening. He's already earned 1.1 million and change on the table so far this season, O'Sullivan, and when you consider the winner of this will pick up 170,000, there's 200,000 up for grabs at the upcoming Tour Championship in Manchester. And then, of course, 500,000 at the Crucible, so could be a record-shattering season in that regard for O'Sullivan if he goes deep in the remaining events.
15.
Yeah, even O'Sullivan has overstunned that. He played further through onto the black, so now he's got slightly awkward queuing. If there is movement on the other tables, O'Sullivan will find it from spectators, because Mark Allen had a torrid time yesterday. And already Ronnie's seen about 4 pockets of people standing around, apart from the pockets on the table. I think what happened yesterday is that Mark Allen's first few frames was quite poor, let's be honest, against Daniel Wells. They got better after the interval, but Ding Junhui had won his match 5-3. There'd been a maximum, and there was almost a mass walkout, wasn't there? Mark Allen was distracted, but not everyone wanted to see that match. It was not great. As I say, it got better.
Set.
Red down the cushion, left-handed. It might be more player-friendly than some tables. This one, let's see if this goes in. Well, that's never dropping.
Ronnie O'Sullivan. Set.
So a slightly unsettling start for both players. They've both had chances and not taken them. Still all to play for in frame one.
All 8 tables once again in use this evening. One of the many eye-catching matches of this session features He Guo Zhang, who's really impressed in his maiden professional season, against Wang Jingbo, who beat his 13-year-old brother in the pre-qualifier here in Yushan, and then repeated the trick against Matthew Selt from 4-3 behind, made a century in the decider against Selt. He's only 16 himself. So that's a match that will generate a lot of local interest.
Yes, I'm hearing lots of good reports about him, the 16-year-old. And the results back that up. I mean, to play twice in a day is tough. Just to get yourself ready for the second match, but he played brilliantly against Matt Selt. So another one to just keep a close eye on as a player. No doubt his brother at 13 has got a future ahead of him in the game as well. Because it's not easy. We don't know which players from anywhere in the world are going to come through. I was delighted to see Jackson Page win. Nothing against John Higgins, but he's another player that's very talented. It just takes a while to reach the level, and he got a good win against John Higgins, as you said earlier, Philip. It was very, very welcoming for the Welsh.
Yes, and congratulations too to Jackson's compatriot Liam Davis, who has finally secured his professional status for the first time in winning the European Under-21 title in Sarajevo. He beat Anton Kowalski 5-3, having just missed out in the Q Tour playoffs to Dwayne Jones in a decider. So that's a terrific win for him and a well-earned professional card. 2 years, of course, he'll have from the start of next season. Practices with the great Mark Williams. Very likeable fellow. Pretty scratchy opening frame, this.
It is. No, I'm delighted for Liam Davison. As you say, I agree with everything you said. Congratulations to him. It feels a long time coming, and yet he's such a youngster. But he's a big future in the game, Liam Davis.
Yeah, of course, he became the youngest winner of a World Championship match, didn't he, when he beat the aforementioned Aaron Hill when he was just 15 at the time in qualifying a couple of years ago in Sheffield. Who's going to get a grip on this opening frame then? O'Sullivan got in with 30 just now, missed the red along the rail by quite a margin. Just feeling his way into this match, his first one here at the venue, as we've mentioned.
It's good red that O'Sullivan potted there. The cue ball didn't quite travel out of bolt very well. That was also well played, so maybe O'Sullivan now has got that chance to get a grip on this frame. There's not that much intensity in the early exchanges. Not yet, anyway.
4.
He's already clinched record-extending UK and Masters victories this season, of course. He's won both of those 8 times now. He's eyeing repeating that trick at the Crucible in just a few weeks' time. And you've got to say,
11.
based on everything we've seen this season, he's the man to beat. Handily beat Judd Trump, who was completely out of sorts in that semi-final at the Riyadh Season World Masters of Snooker. He's now beaten Trump in his last 5 outings, so as brilliant as Trump has been for most of this season, with 4 ranking titles to his name, you've got to think that Ronnie is the man to beat again in a month's time at the Crucible.
17.
So, again, a red down the cushion.
24.
Probably left-handed again as well, like the one he missed earlier, but a different sort of a shot. So now O'Sullivan on the brink of getting this first frame one, a scrappy frame.
with the form that O'Sullivan's shown this season, you feel he can afford the odd error here and there before he hits his stride. But for Michael White, who's had a couple of chances in this frame, he's going to have to take almost all of his if he's to cause the upset today. He's not been able to in this first frame.
Oh, the problem is it can be quite intimidating playing O'Sullivan, and that's not a new thing either. It's not a lot different to when he was 16 years of age turning professional, because such a amount of skill that he's got. He was a precocious talent then, and he's just a prolific winner now. But there's something about playing him that is unnerving unless you're at your best. And that's down to him.
Now in his 49th year, of course. That's the most remarkable thing, that
49.
even knocking on the door of 50, there's no sign of the dimming of Ronnie O'Sullivan's extraordinary talent. On the contrary, playing as well as ever right now. And he's cleared the table after a slightly indifferent start. The crowd enjoying that break from Ronnie O'Sullivan. A couple of good pots early in the break in particular to seal the deal and move 1-0 to the good here in Yushan. So Michael White breaking off in frame 2. Had a couple of chances in the opening frame, couldn't make anything from them, and in the end O'Sullivan stepping in with a nice clearance for 1-0. Judd Trump 1-0 behind against Sanderson Lam on table 2.
Michael White 4.
Thought about staying up, but having gone in, it's given White a chance.
I didn't think that was going in. I thought I was hitting the right jaw. I guess it was played at the perfectly slow pace to see it going off the bump, but in it fell.
1.
Unfortunately, we missed a shot there, but apologies for that. It's out of our control. Anyway, White with an early in again here.
6. 7.
Yeah, the pace kept it out, and he's a bit jittery, I think. Big occasion for Michael White, as experienced as he is.
One. 7. 8.
I think the situation where O'Sullivan was, if you like, forced to play a qualifier
13.
in Barnsley for this event, it was a bit of a ludicrous situation.
14.
You know, he's the world #1 by a long way. He was actually seeded 3 for this event, which was the problem. It was only the top 2 seeds and a number of wild cards that got held over. Obviously, with Luca as world champion and Trump, the defending champion post-COVID, He was the number 3 seed.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 21.
I think it would have been unfortunate had he not qualified, although Alfie Burden would disagree. It's the man he beat there.
Well, Michael White certainly not lacking for chances early in this match. He had a couple in the first frame. He's already had one come and go in this frame, missing the black. Now he's got this chance to atone. And again, rather throwing his cue at that one in a bid to split the reds, which, having missed the green, he'll be pleased he didn't achieve. But it's been a very suspect start from the underdog.
Yeah, nerves often do play a big part in his career. He's admitted that. And he looks a little edgy. I mean, the green did come across and block the left side of the bunch, to be fair. That's the only good thing that came of it. Nice safety shot, that one from Michael White. Sullivan hit a very good thin red earlier in this match, which was a better shot than it looked. This time, no contact made.
Foul with a miss. Michael White, 4.
I suspect he'll try the same shot a second time. I think that the balls will be replaced. Whether Michael White fancies a long red from the D is another matter. He's almost compelled to play it, but you wouldn't feel confident based on the shots he's hit so far that he would pop this. Ah, beautiful. That's much better. That is much better.
Another intriguing matchup underway on table 4 this evening. Matthew Stevens against Ryan Day. Stevens has taken the opening frame. Oh, goodness me. Well, that was a horror show for Michael White. It really was.
Foul.
Goodness me. I mean, it was a lovely red, but
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 6.
well, the less said about that shot, the better, really. It was something you wouldn't want to see again. X-rated almost, wasn't it? That miss. Sullivan might be just in the back of his mind looking for a bit of competition here. You know, not intentionally, he wants to win, but if Michael White was to pick his game up, maybe O'Sullivan would do the same. So another chance. Another chance. He can put that bad miss behind him here on the pink. I mean, the balls are beautifully placed now.
6. 7. 11.
He's always been a fairly quick player, but he's certainly trying to get on with it here. Maybe if he plays a little quicker in pace, he'll just not have time to think about anything that could go wrong. It's a ploy that does work sometimes. Just play on instinct almost.
19. $26. Michael White, 26.
Well, how about that for a miss?
One.
Yeah, I mean, the Michael White miss on the red, we're not seeing many of those sort of shots missed on this table, quite honestly. And it might prove to be very costly. He's just starting to find a bit of form until that moment. He's almost slumped back in his chair. Well, it's a comedy of errors. The red that he's left from hand is not simple from where it is. He's not quite over the middle pocket.
It's almost though O'Sullivan is coming out in sympathy at the moment, perhaps shocked by how his opponent is struggling to the degree he has thus far. Another chance for White to get himself involved in this match and just try and settle himself down after a whole series of errors, including that butchered pink earlier in this frame. But he's not going to get a better chance than this to seal a 1-all scoreline. Just needs yellow and green.
Yeah, this is the last thing that could go wrong. Straightish shot. No, that's fine. So,
Oh, sorry, 8.
this is the moment when he does at least get to all level. He hasn't done a great deal to earn it, but they've both missed their chances, has to be said. There's two players out there. It's not only about Michael White struggling. Ronnie has not been anywhere near his best.
$15. $20.
Well, the pink he missed earlier was a real confidence drainer, but it's proved to be irrelevant because Ronnie O'Sullivan was unable to take his chances, and so a very scrappy second frame has gone the way of the underdog, who looks a little exasperated at the way he's playing, but he'll be delighted nonetheless to be level at 1 frame all. Evening session on day 2 of the World Open live from Yushan. Ronnie O'Sullivan took the opening frame, helped by a break of 62, a clearance after some early errors. Michael White missed a few chances in that frame, missed a few in the second as well, including a pink by the proverbial country mile. But Ronnie O'Sullivan also guilty of uncharacteristic mistakes, so White was able to fall over the line in that frame and level the match at 1-all. And perhaps now, having done that, he'll settle down, and in turn so will O'Sullivan. 5 is the target. Liu Haoshan of China to play the winner in round 3.
手机检查一下。
So almost the two players might think, well, let's start again. We've shared the first two frames. We both missed a lot of chances. Maybe start this as a best of 7 mentally, of course. Just try and regroup. A nice little nudge. Brown is a big distraction on the next safety shot. If indeed he does take a safety shot on, not a pot. You kind of want neither one thing nor the other there. Chance to get the cue ball round the back of the black by missing the red on the thin side. Oh, yep, it's long red. I think World Snooker is in a good state at the moment. I mentioned Jackson Page winning earlier against John Higgins. Sticks in my mind that the only time they met previously was in Belfast, and Jackson was on the brink of winning that match comfortably against Higgins, and then he potted the blue and knocked a red in, and all of a sudden Higgins come back to win. So he got his revenge today.
One.
Pretty much an unfulfilled talent so far, Jackson Page. But plenty of time for that to change.
Three. Four.
Well, the Reds done the thing that he can always do there. No control over Reds in the bunch. Blocking off the black to the pocket. A bit unlucky. So now the real test of his cueing here on this blue. This is a examination technique, which he passes with flying colours.
$17. 18. $25. 26.
That long blue reminds me of when he first turned professional and played that shot with impunity. Blue into bulk colour as a rescue shot. So he made almost an early part of his career out of that shot.
32.
Nowadays, less frequently does he drop out of position to have to play it in the first place. Again, playing quickly, O'Sullivan.
48.
Fantastic final black from Judd Trump. Next door, table 2 to level up proceedings with Sanderson Lamb. Very thin cut into the left corner from distance after Sanderson had taken quite a healthy lead in that second frame. So one apiece there, and Ronnie O'Sullivan on the cusp of a 2-1 lead here with Sanderson Lamb watching on.
Yeah, you heard the big roar. That was what it was for. And I'll say one thing, the crowd are a little bit of a distraction to certain players, but what a terrific crowd we're getting. Snooker lovers here in Yushan, seeing a tournament back here. We have to look at all the positives, and I think it's terrific. After a long time where there've been no events in this part of China.
65.
Yes, Trump, of course, is the defending champion, having won it the last time this tournament was staged here in Yushan in 2019 when he beat Tepchire. One of the 6 ranking events he's won in China, having added to that list this season in Wuhan. Meanwhile, Ronnie O'Sullivan finding the usual fluency, that excellent blue to keep the break going earlier in the frame. And for Michael White, a 2-1 deficit. Now eyeing a possible 49th century of this campaign. Remember, this is only his 12th event.
Yes, had to screw that cue ball from the green deep towards the right corner, top right. Played it to perfection as well. Doesn't carry his own extension, O'Sullivan. I can't think of any other top player that would use the equipment laid out under the table. It's there, but I think it's only O'Sullivan that uses it. Most players have got all their own specialist stuff they take with them. Personalised.
94.
Goodness, how did that drop? O'Sullivan looked as shocked as we did. That came away from the cushion. These pockets ain't tight, let me say that.
Well, that was incredible because it came away as soon as he struck it. But the crowd don't care. Century number 1251 for O'Sullivan.
104.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful break. Yes, the red might not have dropped that last one.
107.
Yeah, the people say it is the same for both players if the pockets are generous. Kind of true, but it might change the dynamic of matches. The World Championships, the most recent one was played on pockets which were not remotely small. We saw 2-1-4-7s, 2-1-4-6 breaks, lots of others. And Luca Brissell deservedly won the title.
122.
Anyway, this is a very fluent break.
Typically quick-fire stuff from Ronnie O'Sullivan, chasing a 6th title this season here in Yushan, and he clears the table with 129 to lead Michael White by 2 frames to 1. So 2-1 to Ronnie O'Sullivan, courtesy of that sparkling 129 clearance just now. First of 5 to go through to play Lu Haoshan, conqueror earlier of Aaron Hill, in a decider. Place in round 3, the last 32 up for grabs today.
Michael White's break.
Michael White hoping to level this match going into the mid-session interval. And also searching for a first win over Ronnie O'Sullivan in 6 attempts. Their first meeting for 2.5 years.
Yeah, there's a shot that O'Sullivan played the containing safety there, as if to say, well, now up to my game. Over to you, Michael. See what you can do to up your game. Might have left a little gap through to that red. That's very well played. Needs a good kiss.
1.
I was going to say he gets one. I don't know. It looks quite a thin contact on the brown. I don't think it cuts in. So it wasn't a good kiss as far as the pot is concerned.
Michael White, 1.
Very close to the long red, but having missed it, it's a really good chance for White to get back in. Twice a ranking titleist, Michael White.
1.
Indian Open and the Paul Hunter Classic in 2015 and 17 respectively.
Yes, that cannon went wrong as far as the pot. Yes, I was in
Michael White, 1.
Firth at the Stadthalle when he won the Paul Hunter Classic. It was a modest ranking event, not a big prize, but he was emotional at the end of it. He was in tears, getting his second ranking victory. I think the title of winning the Paul Hunter meant something to him. He was very emotional.
Won the World Amateur title when he was just 14 years of age. Made his first century at the age of 9, so he was always earmarked as being something special from his junior days. He's found the promotion to the senior ranks at times perhaps more challenging than he might have expected when he first turned pro. He is a quarter-finalist at the World Championship, which he achieved on his debut in 2013. He came pretty close with his initial long red. That one, though, finding its mark in resounding fashion. O'Sullivan back in.
$14. 15.
Well, this is how he likes them. There are 3 or 4 reds out in play. Not all of them, but
22.
that might change pretty soon with O'Sullivan, of course, is master break builder and
23.
player of delicate cannons and touches.
We're ready to go again then. Michael White with lots to do. He's not played anywhere near his A game, which felt like a necessity today. And Ronnie O'Sullivan has taken advantage after a slightly indifferent opening. He's really got going with those consecutive centuries to lead 3-1. Needing 2 more to go through to round 3. One all between He Guo Zhang and the 16-year-old Wang Jingbo, who beat Matthew Selt in the previous round.
Now, the other question to be answered is, can Michael White improve on that display in the first 4 frames? He actually started the match with a good long red similar to this one, but he'll be annoyed to be so far behind because of the chances he had early. Not so many late on in that 4 frames segment of play. Pretty hot ticket here tonight in Yushan, isn't it, with O'Sullivan on this table and Judd Trump on the other table. You know, you can sense the anticipation before the start. You can see the spectators. No one's waited too long to come back from the mid-session interval. They're all there to see more of this. Can Michael White do something to, if you like, upset the party? It's another cannon that's gone horribly wrong.
11. Michael White, 11.
Well, Ronnie looking at a couple of reds set to the left corner, but he can't get to them directly. Whether he can do it via another red or involving another red, I don't know. But I think he felt that there was 2 reds planting to the left corner. Well, the plant didn't happen, but the cue ball is safe.
Judd Trump has wrapped up that 4th frame on table 2, by the way, so Trump also leading 3-1 going into their mid-session interval. Sanderson Lamb having taken the 1st frame. The winner of the Trump-Lamb match will play Fan Zhengyi, who got a bye in the previous round with Dave Gilbert withdrawing from the tournament.
Foul in the miss. Michael White, 4.
So go back again, and O'Sullivan will play this. I think the angle was fine, it's just lack of pace on the cue ball. The reds are quite widely scattered, so the reason Ronnie O'Sullivan tried to drop into them is because so many reds might become available if he overhit. It's not an easy shot to lay up to these. If it was a tight bunch of reds, of course, it would be a different story. Some applause, but he's left the red he nudged into available. I think the red is one thing, but getting onto a colour is another story. Got to be careful not to play a push shot as well here. It's perfectly legal. But he doesn't appear to be on the pink very comfortably anywhere.
Goodness me. Nothing going for Michael White at the moment. He's not lacked for chances in this match. He's had plenty of them. He's had a couple in this frame. Twice running out of position, and then the in-off just to rub salt into the wound. So Sullivan with another long-range pot here. And then it goes, no problem. Wow, that was a surprise.
Yeah, I didn't think he'd miss that. It blew right behind it off the spot. I don't think I've seen him miss one of those. Probably ever. Maybe that's a big statement, but it was... his hand was on the cushion rail, but it's not really a shot you expect him to miss at any stage.
So a third chance for White in this frame already.
Yes, it's getting to the point now. If he doesn't start taking these soon, he'll be considering his travel options back to South Wales. Because many a match which O'Sullivan's played in, he wouldn't get as many chances as this throughout the course of it. But he's had a number of chances and he's made very little of them. Big fan of Michael White and his game, you know, and always liked him as a player and as a person. Would love to see him do well. I was pleased he made it back on the tour, but it's been a tough day for him.
$18. $19.
Of course, it's a difficult break with the black not really available. Of course, he could get behind it and pink up the table. So you're never going to be comfortable with this break until you've got to the point of no return and your opponent needs snookers. And the way the match has gone, it would come as no surprise if O'Sullivan did come back to the table, still able to win. Got a nice angle to get up for blue again here. If not blue, then something low value.
$31.
Wow, these are not nice. Can he push these onto the bottom jaw? Exactly what he's done. Exactly how he's missed it. You never see those missed thin. Usually if they're going to be missed, it'll be hitting too much of the object ball. I think the key to that shot was O'Sullivan going far enough to have a slight angle on blue to get down for the reds. They're lined up into that left corner, all four of them.
Six. Seven.
Nicely done. There was not as much room as it seemed there with the brown below its spot. The gap between green and brown up and down was not huge. That's a great shot. That is a terrific shot to finish on the blue top side. Sort of shot that can almost go unnoticed. I don't think he'd be phased by playing on the black. Just that the black would not have gone in its own spot. Didn't really have the angle to plan it there either.
19.
Just clawing his way back into the frame. I don't think it matters greatly which colour he takes. Not at this stage. Oh, that kicked. That definitely jumped. And now he's got a more difficult shot than it should have been.
Ronnie O'Sullivan. 22.
So another chance for Michael White. I think the kick made all the difference there on the green, stopped the cue ball, and the end result was what we saw.
His fourth chance of this frame alone. Coming into this match, Michael White had only won 7 of the 31 frames he'd played against Ronnie O'Sullivan in the 5 previous meetings. That'll be his frustration today, that he's had plenty of opportunities. It's not as though O'Sullivan's frozen him out, but up until now he's been able to take very few of them. But this is a chance to close to just 1 behind, which on the balance of play would be a pretty good result for White. O'Sullivan, of course, has made back-to-back tons.
Yes, he was torn between blue or yellow, followed by yellow again. I thought he'd rushed into the yellow, actually, but he knocked it in quite nicely.
5.
And as you say, up to and including the green, to scramble a frame. And that's the kind of frame it has been, really. As you say, all those chances, eventually he wins it, barring snookers.
Yes, the kick was all important, as Neil mentioned, because O'Sullivan was looking good for 4-1 there, and to lose this frame would have been a real hammer blow for White, not least because it would have left him needing to win 4 in a row, which feels highly unlikely. But 3-2, much more manageable deficit. And even though he's still not playing anything like to his capability, he's still in the match. Ronnie O'Sullivan's lead shaved to a single frame then here in Yushan. Michael White trailing 3-2.
From 6.
So Michael White back in the match, still not playing anywhere near his A game, but if he can win this frame, then it's a best of 3 for a place in round 3 here in Yushan. Ronnie O'Sullivan has done all the scoring, 2 centuries, but a few errors as well, just keeping White interested. Judd Trump 3-1 up, of course, on Sanderson Lam on table 2. You can watch that on Discovery+. Tian Peng Fei has taken the third frame against Neil Robertson, who now leads 2-1. 2 each between Matthew Stevens and Ryan Day as O'Sullivan this time gets in off White's break. 3-1 Chow Yu Peng over Noppon Sankam. 3-0 Jordan Brown over Chris Wakelin, and 2-1 now to He Guozhang over the Chinese wildcard, the 16-year-old Wang Jimbo, who beat his brother in pre-qualifying, and then Matthew Selt with a century in the deciding frame from 4-3 behind to set up that crack at He, who's caught the eye in his debut season as a pro.
Foul. Michael White, 4.
I think if he was a billiards player, you'd have been pretty proud of that in-off. But we're not playing that game here, so no good to O'Sullivan, of course. But it's just that sort of line up the table, trying to get the cue ball into that corner. Now, Michael White has started to knock in a few long pots, which is something that he could hold hope for, but he's not been particularly lucky there. They have to get the rest out, this Brown around the angles. It's not a nice shot played at pace. Very well struck. Beautiful shot, that one. And he's just about through the gap on the red to the right of the black, which is a big one to land on. Oh, goodness me.
6.
What a terrible miss. That really was a bad miss. There's nothing difficult remotely about that shot. So he'll be annoyed, Michael White, because he was just looking a bit better. And then he missed a black, really, that I don't think you'll see another one of those missed all week on this table. Doing very little with the cue ball. Nicely played, whipping the cue ball around the angles. It was always going to be pretty safe had the red not gone in. Now, the problem he's got, he wants to play the black, but he's looking at the black spot, which is occupied by the red. So whether he could pot the black and move that red that's currently on the black spot. That might be the way he goes here. Try and shift it out of there. That's what he's tried, and he's done it. Great shot. No applause, but trust me, that is absolutely perfect.
8.
Cleared everything to the right and left corner pockets for the black.
9.
Sometimes I think with O'Sullivan's break building, there were very subtle shots played early on that you could almost not notice them, and you realise that everything is now in open play from a position where when he came to the table it wouldn't have been.
$16.
No, he didn't want that. He did not want that. Now, can he get to the green? Don't think he can, not to pot it. This is an awkward blue now. It's not one of his old favourite recovery shots with the rest. It's not an easy shot, this. Played it well, off the jaw again, but in it went.
22. Ronnie O'Sullivan.
It's been a curious performance from Ronnie O'Sullivan today. Moments of brilliance, a couple of centuries, but a few errors as well, keeping Michael White in contention. So White back at the table, only 13 behind, having missed that elementary black earlier in this frame. One of many potting errors from the Welshman today, and yet, who knows, at the end of this visit, he might be level at 3-all, which would be extraordinary, really, given his struggles today.
Well, I was surprised by O'Sullivan's miss just a minute ago, as I was the Michael White black he spoke about. Both were easy. Ronnie, I thought, was just getting going there. He missed a little stun run through, and he looks pretty annoyed with himself sitting in his chair, O'Sullivan. I think it's those cueing shots. When you miss those, you start to look at your cue action, how you're hitting them. Meanwhile, Michael White can't get a cannon right at all at the moment. It's another very poor shot. I don't think the cannon was up very easily to play. Not to get nicely on the black. He's done well to recover that. That was a much better shot than it looked, but it's made up for the previous one.
$17. $24.
Yeah, never touched the size, that one. And had it done so, it probably would have gone in anyway. So, 18 points the lead, and a chance with the reds in the middle of the table to put this frame so much beyond doubt, but very much in his favour.
32.
Michael White has never had any joy against Ronnie O'Sullivan, and I don't think he would have believed, given the way he's played today so far, that he'd still be in contention in this match. But He is, very much so. 27 in front, 34 with the black. Great chance to make this a best of 3. He's played that well.
47. 48.
So he needs one more red. And he is such a talent, White, that if he could just raise his level a little, he could certainly go on and win this match. O'Sullivan fans looking a little concerned now. At 3-1, with his second century in a row, it was looking like it could be another procession for O'Sullivan over Michael White, but it's proved not to be the case.
64.
1 or 2 errors from O'Sullivan, just hampering his ability to pull away in this match.
Yeah, and I think all of those things have actually given Michael White a bit of hope. Yes, he's still not playing at his best, but he's certainly playing better.
Well, he's taken these really well. This has been his best snooker of the match so far.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens from here. Can O'Sullivan raise his game? He looks a little bit deflated in his chair, doesn't he? He knows he probably should have either won this match by now or be on the brink of it, but he's not anywhere near that. He's got to go again at 3-all.
78.
And he's on the back of missing a pretty bad red to the left corner pocket. I mean, he's only human. He'll be thinking about that and why he missed it in the way he did. Can Michael White get his first ever victory over Ronnie O'Sullivan? So you want to stick around and see how this unfolds from here.
89.
Not enough there for a century, but 96 will do. Easily the best snooker that Michael White has produced in the match, and a very timely intervention as he levels this at 3 frames all. Fascinating stuff then. Ronnie O'Sullivan looked on his way to yet another comfortable win over Michael White, but now pegged back from 3-1 to 3-all. 1 or 2 errors from O'Sullivan, and you can see he's not happy, is he? Known as being a perfectionist, often just winning hasn't been enough for O'Sullivan. He wants to win in a certain way. Today, he has made a few potting errors that you wouldn't have expected, not least in the previous frame, missing the mid-range red, having knocked in an excellent recovery blue with the rest. And he then sat out that 96 break from Michael White. So from 3-1 to 3-all, anyone's match now, the first of 5 to play Liu Hao Shan in round 3 here at the World Open on day 2. Judd Trump has just moved 4-1 in front of Sanderson Lam on table 2, a match you can watch, of course, on Discovery Plus. Another very tight frame where Sanderson Lam was looking good to close to 3-2, and Trump has stepped in to deny him. Trump having won the second frame of that match on the final black, an excellent thin cut from long range. Neil Robertson 2-1 up on Tian Peng Fei. Jordan Brown 3-1 up on Chris Wakelin. Chow Yu-peng is going well against Noppon Sankam, 4-1 up. Matthew Stevens and Ryan Day tied at 2 frames apiece. And the other match in this session, in which, of course, 8 tables are in use, He Guozhang leading Wang Jingbo, the Chinese wildcard, the teenager, by 2 frames to 1.
Fairly basic run into the bunch there. Very interesting at 3-all whether O'Sullivan is going to find the extra gear that he might need, you know, over his long playing career. And in fact, all the great players, you know, when tested in a situation like this, will find their better form. Is today going to be another one of those days? It's a little lackluster. Yes, he made a couple of centuries, but it's not really a reflection of how he has looked in these half a dozen frames, quite honestly. Mistakes have been made by O'Sullivan, of course, and Michael White. But the latter just gaining in some confidence, I think.
He's actually knocked in a couple of good reds, not dissimilar to that, on the other side of the table from distance. That one was caught way too thick, though, by Michael White. And he has left this red for O'Sullivan. Looking just to re-establish himself, having lost the last 2 frames. 1 or 2 errors that clearly have irked him. And he knows that White's a dangerous opponent. Yes, he's always held sway over him in the past, but he knows what White's capable of, so there's certainly jeopardy now for O'Sullivan in this match that didn't seem likely at the midway point. The gulf between this pair in terms of success this season is vast. Michael White has earned just 35,000 on the table in this campaign to date. O'Sullivan in excess of 1.1 million.
12.
But that isn't reflected in the scoreboard at the moment.
Yes, I mean, there's only been a few players earning the real big money this season. Of course, O'Sullivan is one, and Judd Trump another, Zhang Anda, Mark Allen. They're the big winners, almost to the exclusion of everyone else. Gary Wilson, of course, has won the Scottish again. But generally speaking, it's been all about a few players that have done so well.
$21.
Will he go into the bunch here? He could play up the table if he wanted to, but the chance to go into them is there. Yeah, I mean, he really gets some extra zip on that cue ball when he plays that shot. Invariably, he'll land on one, and he has.
28. $29.
Gary Wilson not here this week because he didn't qualify, but he has won
36.
a couple of ranking events this season. So, as I say, it's been a few players which have lifted all the trophies. That's why there's such a disparity between the players at the top and the ones a little further down. O'Sullivan's not quite in that form today that's won him all this money and all these events. But if he gets through, of course, he can build on it. Not sure if both reds go. He's having a close look at the left-hand red, but the other one he's on anyway.
45. 51. 52. 56.
Yes, the cannon didn't quite work. He lost the cue ball. I think he thought he hit more of the second red there. Lovely recovery shot though. Beautiful touch there. Very easy to see that cue ball drift into the bulk area.
64.
Unless you get the right amount of backspin on. Delicate shot on the black. It's the question, not that it needed asking really with this man, but could he raise his game? And he has done, because he's won this frame. And all of a sudden, it looks a little bit more like he's back to business. The way that he's won it, he was freewheeling through the early frames, but he isn't now.
Very much so. He feels really dialed in. I think conscious of the fact that suddenly this match had become potentially uncomfortable for him for a position of strength. But he really has been very focused in this break. One or two errors have proved costly out of the blue, really, for O'Sullivan today, but he's been sharp as a tack at this visit. Back in front and within one of victory.
Yeah, it might not be a century, though, unless he can produce a bit of magic here. I'm not sure where the next red's coming from, quite honestly. Shame that. Cannon was not easy to ensure he'd be on something. Maybe he's going to try and pop the red close to the pocket for two cushions. Not to be.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 8-7.
No third century, but that was arguably the best break that O'Sullivan has made in this match so far. Not numerically, obviously, but given its timing and how focused he was throughout it, to move back in front at 4-3. Wang Jimbo. So Michael White has got to win the last two frames for his first victory in his 6th attempt against Ronnie O'Sullivan, who's just knocked in another excellent break of 80+. Very important break as well, because O'Sullivan was beginning to show signs of frustration, having lost his 3-1 lead, but very much dialed in just now in retaking the lead and putting himself within one of the third round meeting with Liu Hao Shan. And straight in at the start of the frame he needs for victory.
1.
Neither player will be thrilled with their break-offs today. Both have capitalised with long-range reds throughout this match.
Do you know, I think it's becoming more of a hindrance, the break-off now. Obviously, invariably, most players have decided to break off given the chance in a match of any duration, because it's meant to be an advantage, but I'm not certain. I think it's a combination of the ball spreading more easily off the break, and of course the standard of long potting has gone up. Might be an idea to put your opponent in where possible. Anyway, nothing much came of it.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 3.
Well, this is a bit of a tester for White with the rest, given what's happened already today. But that's a really good pot in the circumstances. He knows now, of course, one more mistake and it could be his last shot of the tournament. So he too has to be lasered in on every shot from here on in. Well, that's another good one. He missed a pink by about a foot early in this match at a time when he looked very jittery.
7.
Played a lot better, of course, in the 6th frame with that break of 96 to level up.
Yeah, he still missed a few as the match has gone on, but fewer balls have been missed, if that's anything to take encouragement from. He's looking at the possibility of getting on the black here from low. Because any further up, I don't know if he could have got to the black with the red being there, but yeah, this is the time for Michael to step up as well with this game. Take us to a decider. Nicely played. So a good start in this 8th frame.
$15. 16. 23. 24.
Now, if he can hit the right-hand red, stun it, then he could get all the rest of them open here. Oh, he's played it really well. That's a great shot. And that's absolutely how to play that shot. Hard stun into the
31.
end red. Cue ball stays centre table, reds go everywhere.
He suddenly looks a completely different player, doesn't he? What a shot that was.
Cue ball's just strayed a bit there, though, isn't it? Shouldn't be on playing this with his hand on the cushion rail, but you're right, the red was absolutely beautiful to watch. Just got to salvage this, just off straight. Shouldn't be here.
And a big cheer from the neighbouring table. Yeah, I just wonder whether all of those things combined slightly threw
32.
Michael White off his stride there. A shame for him because he played such a great cannon, but only 29 in front.
One.
That's a good shot from O'Sullivan. Yeah, it might have not helped on the other table. There was something happening on the black ball at the end of a frame, which surprising miss perhaps. But to be honest, Michael White, he should never have been there on the black.
Ironically, at a time when he was playing his best snooker and looking as confident as he's done at any stage in the match. But now, of course, at the point of no return, he's wondering if he's going to get another chance. A couple of awkward reds for O'Sullivan.
18.
Mainly the one up the table, just below the yellow on the side cushion.
Yes, he's gone for it there, hasn't he? Playing on the black to get that out into play, onto its spot. That could be a match winner. It's kind of a good shot just to get the black where it wants to be, basically, and where he wants it to be, although the reds are spread around. It's not easy to get the match won at this visit, but it helps with the black on its spot. Been a few of those mid-range shots. He's absolutely fuming.
Crikey, could have taken a lump out of his cue there. But yes, indicative of the fact that O'Sullivan has been a bit in and out in this match. At times great, but Just the odd mistake has allowed Michael White to stay in contention. He's played a lot better in the last 45 minutes or so since the interval. So this frame still in the balance with a couple of awkward reds to be negotiated.
8.
Sanderson Lamb, by the way, has finally won a tight frame in the match against Judd Trump, having lost a couple to keep his hopes alive. It's now 4-2. Won that 6th frame on the final black. Neil mentioned the noise that was coming from that table after he initially missed the black, but he potted it when he got another opportunity. So that match still going. Is this one heading for a decider? 19 the lead for White, still 51 on. Things about to get a bit trickier though.
Yes, because he needs all 3 reds. 2 red blacks even from here, which would be difficult. Will take him only 35 in front. So I don't know that he'll win the frame here. It'll take some doing. But O'Sullivan was very annoyed. He's kind of been able to almost second guess the shots he'll miss today. It's those mid-range shots. He's missed a few of them, O'Sullivan, and all the touch shots, and even some of the long pots have gone in. It's the in-between shots he struggled with. And there's evidence that the tension is perhaps getting to both players.
Ronnie O'Sullivan just looking at the shaft of his cue, having wrapped it on the table just now, having missed, but back at the table, 20 behind, 43 now left.
Well, yeah, I mean, don't try it at home, basically. I mean, it's great to emulate top players, but unless you want to have to buy yourself a new cue anytime soon, it wouldn't be a great idea to crunch it against a cushion rail too many times.
Be a very bad moment of the season for O'Sullivan to have to change his cue, that's for sure. Oh dear, looking to get in behind the black, but going in off, that's not going to improve his mood.
Might be a good idea for Michael White to get the left-hand red out here, because he's going to need it whatever happens. He could play a meaningful safety shot. Here's the shot again. They tried to make it a fiendish snooker. Could have played a safety shot on the left-hand red. Yes, it's gone safe, and you think, well, I don't need it as much as my opponent will need it. If he could have got O'Sullivan in trouble there and got the red out, it could have been a frame winner. Oh, he's going to be snookered here, surely. It could be a vile snooker to hit this one.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 1.
O'Sullivan could easily have gone in off that black, but in the event, very unpleasant state of affairs for Michael White. 23 in front, but in all kinds of bother here.
Well, he is, because he might have to go directly off this one cushion. And it's so hard hitting straight into a cushion. It's hard to get any kind of perspective for the shot. He's going 2, in fact. 2 cushions with left-hand side. Trying to miss the brown on the way down. It's a good effort, but it's a free ball.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4. Free ball.
And Ronnie won't be having this put back, I don't think. It doesn't often do that anyway. Playing the yellow, so that gets the yellow on its spot. If he gets it, of course.
Something of a surprise that didn't drop, given that, by and large, as we've been saying throughout the 2 days of action here, the pockets have been pretty receptive, but stayed above ground, so White breathes again.
Yeah, but it's kind of put him under pressure, White, in its own way, isn't it? Because nothing's safe now. And should he leave O'Sullivan a red, or this red, it's hard to think he wouldn't clear, because they're all over the pockets, basically, on their spots. But he hasn't left him it. Played a good shot there. Michael White might have a little dart at this, and it'll take him probably to winning the frame if he gets it. Yeah, you feel it's a red ball frame, and certainly you'd say so on the basis of what we're seeing. Everything else is on a plate after that. I wonder if O'Sullivan might think about trying to cut this in. He can't see him enough of the red to play a meaningful safety shot anyway. And they did play it. The black wasn't easy enough to that right corner. Yeah, it's a quite tense situation here. A lot riding on the whoever pots this red and the outcome of it. Oh dear. That wasn't the shot, what he was looking for. What a golden chance to get the match won here. It really is. He didn't play the pink there because he doesn't really need the pink on its spot because the black's over the hole anyway. So now it's just a few more shots, and O'Sullivan won't be pleased with his performance if he wins, but he'll be through. Ultimately, it's the win is all you really need in these early rounds.
8.
And if he gets this shot right, brown to blue, finishing just off straight, then surely that's it.
It's been a mercurial sort of display, hasn't it? You look at the scoreboard and think, well, it's been very good. 62, 129, 106 and 87. There have been some mistakes in between. We've seen his frustration, not least when he banged his cue just now, but
17.
This pink effectively match ball with the black where it is. And Michael White is still going to be searching for his first win over Ronnie O'Sullivan. He started to play a lot better from 3-1 behind. He could have forced a decider. But it's Ronnie O'Sullivan who's cleared to pinch that 8th frame on the final black and move through. At times he looked less than impressed with his level, but he'll be delighted to have come out on top. And for Michael White, frustration about what might have been, particularly in that 8th frame. Ronnie O'Sullivan moving through to round 3 by 5 frames to 3.